has a really awesome story about his personal life. He's been all over the place with his crazy self, and somehow he's come out right side out, even though he went in downside up, or however you say that. You know, he's really turned his life around, decisions that he's made. He's really not only made something out of himself as a professional, but truly has found his niche and given back to the community through his profession. So help me welcome Jeremiah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would sit down, but I like being the tallest person.
And you can move that if you want to move
Okay,
around.
I'm gonna move it out the way. I like to use my hands. I'm kind of animated. I got long legs, and I won't kick nothing over. By show of hands, how many of you have life figured out? Raise your hands if you think you got life figured out. If you got it all wrong. Nobody? Not one?
We're working on it.
You working on it?
Yeah.
That's good, that's good, that's good. And that's part of why Gazelle is putting you guys through this professional development stuff, and one of the reasons why I'm here. Because I remember a time when I was in that place where sometimes between that 18 and 23-year-old stage, sometimes we do get full of ourselves and we think we got it all figured out, and then what mom says doesn't matter. What the professor said doesn't matter. What our friends really say don't matter. And so I'm glad that you guys are in that place where you understand that you don't have it all figured out. That's an okay place to be in. I was once there. I grew up on the west side of Chicago. And so this thing that they're doing right now, they call it Chirac, because of all the killings and all of that stuff has been going on since I was a little boy. But because of social media and things like that, it's more magnified now, but it's always been like that. And thank God for a praying mother and a praying grandmother. My mom seen that I was on my way down a bad road, and she moved me to South Bend, Indiana, where in one summer I grew 7 inches, and hence I picked up a basketball. And that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today, is being real with yourself and finding out what your why is. And me playing basketball, basketball forced me to be in some uncomfortable situations. I was on a team, which sometimes growing up, if you're an only child, or you're not very comfortable with working with people or dealing with people, you tend to kind of keep to yourself. And so basketball forced me to work with people who didn't always look like me, who didn't always come from the same socioeconomic background as me, or who had different experiences. But we all had one common goal, and we wanted to win. And so we had to set aside all of those differences. Some of them were tall, some were short, some were thin, some were heavy. So we had all of these differences, but the one commonality that we had was that round horns thing, and that we all wanted to win, because in most of our lives, a lot of us had grew up being what society sometimes deems as failures, because they look at our socioeconomic status, or they look at our parents not going to college, or our parents not having that great 6-figure job. And so some of us take on that, and it's unfair, because a lot of us are diamonds in the rough. We just haven't been through life's pressures in order to create that diamond and that life that we want. And so basketball put me in those situations, and it taught me a lot. It taught me about being a part of a team, and having that same, that end goal in mind. I went through Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and one of the things that stood out to me, and that it started with the end in mind. And so you guys have a vision, or you have a picture of what you want your life to look like. And so that's your end. If you work from that and work forward, life is a lot easier than just going through life and trying to figure those things out, because life is very complicated. Things happen, we plan out these steps, and we make all these great plans, and then life throws us a curveball. And sometimes we're not equipped to handle that curveball, and then we strike out. And then, like most people, they give up. If you have enough failure in your life, those people that you see standing out at the gas stations asking for change, they weren't always there. Some of those people were successful, but because of life circumstances and because they weren't equipped with the skills necessary to handle what life is going to throw at you. And believe me, life is going to throw some things at you. Some of you may have already experienced that. Some of you understand that it's on the brink. But don't be fearful of that, because what I've learned is the person that I am today is because of the struggles that I went through. Because had I not went through those struggles, I wouldn't know my strengths. And so that's what going through obstacles and having trials and tribulations really produce. They produce in you those things that you need when you move on to your next, but it also takes something out of you that you need. And some of that is fear. And fear, you know, how many of y'all know what faith is? Pretty much everybody. Fear is faith used the wrong way. Think about when you're faithful in something, you've never saw it, you've never done it, you haven't seen it, but you believe in it with all your heart. Fear is faith used the wrong way. We think about failing, we think about we're not going to pass the test. You don't even know, but you strongly believe in it. And so fear, if you take it in that way, and this helped me that I look at it in that way, because I use faith a lot. I'm standing before you because of faith. I've done a lot of bad things in my lifetime. I'm not proud of it, but I had no father. My father went to prison when I was 4 years old. My mom was strung out on drugs. But my mom had enough sense to send me to a family member in South Bend that was more stable, to put me in a more stable environment. Because in order to have and live those dreams that I had to be somewhere where it was some structure, where it was more stable, where somebody was championing me. I remember a time when I used to get straight A's, and I would come home, I'm excited, you know how you get that great report card, you know you're going to get some money, or you're going to get some shoes, and mom going to cook that favorite meal, and I would get home, and it was nothing. But then I go back to school, my friends, man, I got $55, I got $5 for every A, and I'm like, man, I didn't get nothing. And so I tried it. I said, you know what, I'm going to get all F's, and I'm going to see what happens. And I got all F's, and guess what? I came home, and I got the same response. Nothing. Nothing. I was expecting a whooping, I was expecting a tongue lash, and I was expecting something. I'm like, how do you go from A's to F's? But it's the same response. And it was right around that time that I began to think, you know what? She's my mom, he's my dad, but I'm at an age right now that I can do something about it. The Bible says, honor your parents, you'll live long days. It doesn't say that your parents are going to be great. They're going to be perfect parents. They're going to provide you with a house. They're going to provide you with a car, fat bank account, all the clothes that you want. It just says honor them. So I've never not honored that office, but I took it upon myself to say, you know what, if I'm going to change my current situation, I have to do something about it. And that's when I began to get serious, not just about life, but about my life. And I began to do things differently. I began to surround myself with the right kinds of friends. Before that, I was hanging around people who were going through the same things that I was going through, and all we did was have pity parties. Nobody got anything out of that. None of us got smarter. None of us moved on. It was Monday pity party, Tuesday pity party, Wednesday. I'm tired of having a pity party. Okay, we know Dad not here. We know we broke. We know that we don't like where we're living at. Okay, that's fine. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about something different. I want to talk about going to the NBA. I want to talk about being the first person in my family to go to college. That was nothing that we ever talked about in my neighborhood, let alone in my family. So I had the ability to become the first. And the best thing about being first is you only get to be first one time. And so I got to do that in my family. I played basketball. I worked on my skill set. I fell in love with basketball. Basketball was the first thing I fell in love with. It wasn't a girl. Sorry, ladies. I fell in love with basketball. I slept with my basketball. I used to wake up with crooks in my neck because I would sleep on it. But I fell in love with it because it made me feel good. And for a lot of us, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for affirmation. We're looking for somebody to pat us on the back. We're looking for somebody to say, hey, I see you. And basketball made invisible Jamal Sylvester visible. Because now I had something that I could do really well, and people liked it. And so I got the claps, and I got the cheers, and I got to get interviewed, and I was in the newspaper all the time. I'm like, yes, it's a crazy drug. It's a crazy drug. And I chased after that with all my heart, and it put me in some places that were good, but then it put me in some places that were bad. Why? Why do you think? Yeah, why do you think? That something that's so good will have you in two spaces at the same time. And have you doing things that were good and have you doing things that were bad.
Oh yeah. So from what I heard, you didn't get that admiration from your parents from getting those Fs, and you failed just to show them that, to try to get some kind of admiration. And so you found something, that was basketball. And after finding basketball, you know, you had a passion for it. And so what happened after having that passion is there's things that came with it. And there's those bad things, right? And so you also had other people who were also passionate about it, other people who supported you, because that's what you seeked, was support. But that's kind of what I got from it.
It's what you said was good. What we said was good. You got something too?
Well, it kind of goes with the thing of you moving up and getting fame, but what does that fame bring you as well? It brings you the bad influence of those people that you're surrounded with. It's not just because of who you are, it's just because of you getting famous. And so some of the bad things can be negativity as well as drugs or alcoholism. And you have seen this a lot of times where big stars start out really humble and then they go into this bad road of because they go with bad influence. And I think that is one route that happens to a lot of people.
It does. I love that, because that's a lot of what happened for me. And you can directly correlate that in business. You get successful business people. And I remember a saying when I was young. They said the same people that you see when you're on your way up are the same people that you see when you're on your way down. And sometimes we forget that. The fortune and the fame makes you forget about those people who were there with you at the ground roots, that started off when you were humble and you were just doing it because you loved it. And sometimes money, and I chased after money, but sometimes money can have you doing things that you ought not be doing. And so I found myself in places that I shouldn't have been in, chasing after fame and fortune. I didn't go to the NBA because I made some bad choices, but a lot of that had to do with my support system.